Hello there, I'm the Biblical Translator, and I did say in an earlier video that I read the Bible this morning and I couldn't get anything out of it. Well, I read the same passage this evening and I found out, I got the following inspiration. So it's Luke 5:12. In one of the villages, Jesus met a man with an advanced case of leprosy. So it's very likely he was deformed, in a lot of pain, and you can just imagine what that looks like. And he had some paralysis, so maybe he couldn't walk properly, but it wouldn't have been a very pleasant sight. He probably looked like a person many of us would turn away from, unable to look in the eye. You know, sometimes when we see people who are deformed or who have sores or who are leaking from the mouth, it's almost like we scorn them. It's almost like we think we're going to catch something from them just by looking at them. And we distance ourselves from them, and Jesus didn't do that. And a lot of it is misinformation, because it's like with HIV and AIDS. You can't catch AIDS. AIDS isn't transmissible from person to person, but HIV is. And it's similar, because people will still isolate themselves and not want to go anywhere near someone who's got AIDS. And similarly, they used to isolate people with leprosy. They had to have a little cavern or where they used to all hang out. So this man breached that code, left where he was, and went amongst the midst of people to see Jesus so that Jesus could heal him. Jesus didn't scorn him. Jesus was a physician. I mean, a lot of people, they scorned people who looked like them with leprosy. But he actually touched him and said, "You are healed." He knew that by touching him, it's not like he's going to get leprosy. He would have had to be with that man for a prolonged period of time in order to catch it. So when the man saw Jesus, he bowed with his face to the ground. Now I was wondering, was this an act of deference? Was it an act of reverence? Or was he embarrassed because of the way that he looked, and he just didn't want to look Jesus in the face, and he just held his head down? We won't know. It could be a part of all three, couldn't it, really? Because I know, I could imagine if I had leprosy, how I would feel. You know, people wouldn't even have to shun me. I would shun myself. And I doubt very much if I could look into anyone's face, because I'd be so embarrassed, and I'd feel, I can just imagine what it must be like. But he had the faith and the courage. He went to Jesus and said, "If you are willing, can you heal me?" Now he put the choice to Jesus. He didn't demand that Jesus heal him. He didn't put Jesus under any kind of pressure, no guilt trip, no expectations. If you are willing. How many of us are willing to do anything if you're not getting paid for it, or if there's no reward, or you're not getting something back? People aren't willing these days to do something just out of sheer love. People always want something back. If it's not monetary, it's in some other form. But who nowadays is willing to put out without expecting something in return? And this gentleman, he knew that given the choice, would Jesus choose to heal him? If given the choice, would you choose to heal a friend or spend time with a friend if you could do something else? How willing are you as an individual? Can you honestly say from the bottom of your heart that you're a willing person, that you will do something without expecting anything in return? Not many people around that. Not many people around who are like that. Most people want something back. They feel as though you're taking advantage of them if they don't get something back. He did not ask out of expectation. He said, Lord, he said, if you are willing, you can heal me and make me clean. He did not ask out of expectation, no pressure, no guilt. He was giving Jesus a choice. Same like saying, when he says, if you are willing, it's just like saying, thy will be done, God willing. Sometimes we say, oh, I'm going to see you next week, God willing. That means we leave that decision to God. We cannot determine whether or not we're going to be alive next week. So we say, God willing. And it's a similar situation in here, but in this. If you are willing, Jesus, can you heal me and make me clean? And what have I got here? What are you willing to do? Most people want a reward, want to get something in return. How many willing Christians are there who are willing to be kind, generous, selfless and loving when there is no reward? Jesus reached out and touched him, not afraid to catch leprosy like others who had distanced themselves. You can't catch it just by being in close proximity, I've put here. Jesus knew this, others didn't. Like people who exclude, like I said with AIDS, out of ignorance. So so the message really here is, for me, it's that gentleman, how he came out of his comfort zone to seek help. And he was in that place of humility where he didn't, just because he knew Jesus, that Jesus had powers, he didn't say, heal me, Jesus heal me, or I know you can heal me, just out of faith. He could have said heal me out of faith, but he actually said, if you are willing. Can you imagine the strength of character it takes to say that? You are in pain, you are in dire straits, you look deformed and decrepit, and yet you know that this individual, Christ, can heal you, and yet you're still giving him a choice to heal you. If that isn't humility, then I don't know what else. He wasn't doing anything from expectation. So many of us, we live out of expectation. Don't do nothing without expecting something. And I think that's what this passage is about, really. It's about reaching that stage of deference, not thinking that just because you are humble or you can show humility or you show deference, that somebody is not going to help you or heal you or give you life. Some people, they feel as though they have to be bolshy and arrogant and rude in order to get attention, in order to heal, in order to get what they want. It's not the case. And this chapter says so. This scripture, Luke 5:12. He did not ask out of expectation. He wasn't pressuring Jesus to heal him. Because he knew that if he said, if you are willing, it's coming from a good place. And Jesus said to him, don't tell anyone, just go and pay your tithes or whatever it is you pay when you've been healed, so that you can get the certificate to show that you've been healed of leprosy. But what does he do? Like everyone else, he opens up his mouth and starts jibbing to everyone, oh, Jesus healed me, Jesus healed me. And of course everybody starts cramming around and Jesus has to find isolation again.